Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg.
Present.
Councilwoman Frisbee.
Present.
Councilman Harrison is called and is excused from this meeting this evening.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Present y presente.
Council President Gonzalez.
Presente.
Myself, Brandon Garcia, Municipal Clerk, present. Mr. Edward Kaloji, Legislative Counsel. And City Attorney, West Bridges. Thank you very much. And Madam President, at this time, if you'd like, I will read the invocation.
Yes, please.
Almighty God, who holds the fate of man and nation, we most humbly beseech thee to bless this our city, these deliberations, and these thy servants, that they may act with wisdom and understanding for the good of our community and thy greater glory. Amen.
Amen.
And Madam President, as I understand it, there is a recognition that the council wishes to do today. If you'd like to introduce that recognition.
Yes, we were going to have Councilwoman Edwards, who is about 2 minutes behind. She said she is around the corner. She was going to read it. So we can possibly maybe push it back to after public comments.
Certainly.
Okay with that?
Certainly. In that case, did you want to proceed with the agenda? We would be
Yes.
at public comment for agenda items only.
Yes, please.
Is there, if I could have the clipboard for public comment for agenda items and docket items only. And to the public comment will be 5 minutes and for each individual. You may address any item on the docket or agenda that you wish, and the council is not obligated to respond. We have one individual listed and that is Cordelia Staten. Please state your name and address for the record, if you wish.
Uh-oh. Good evening. You got to press the button. Press that round button. No. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. It's on.
Cordelia Staten, 310 Gardner Avenue. Good evenings, distinguished members of City Council. It has been a while. Glad to see you all. Want to speak to just a couple of things I saw on the docket, which I must say look very good today. The ordinance. I guess maybe I better wait for public hearing for that one, huh? For ordinance 50?
You could.
Special police officer.
Second reading.
Yeah.
You can do it at second reading, or if you would choose now, it is a docket
I
item.
think I might want to do it now because I may not be here to the end. I just wanted to say that is an excellent idea to complement our police force with these special officers. I'm glad to see that you're ensuring that they will have the proper training to go out and actually be a help to our police department and not a liability. I'm hoping that they also get that psychological training that most officers get, but sometimes still lack to do the job. And they really are going to do a service to the people in the city. I just wanted to also compliment the administration on how they have been able to bring a resolution to a lot of the city-owned properties. I see that they are being purchased by, I hope, city residents to either expand their properties or to add to their properties. I think that's a great idea. And there was one other thing. Oh, yeah. I wanted to speak to the ordinance or ordinance 64, where you are amending the chapter again. That thing is really getting a workover. I hope that now it is to your satisfaction. I'm not completely happy with all the changes that are being made, but times change, and so I'm trying to move forward with them. I do hope that that'll be all the amendments made to the charter, to the chapter, and that this council can move forward with the business at hand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Madam President, those are all the individuals I have for public comment for agenda and docket items. I'm sorry.
I go ahead and read. There are things I want to discuss.
For the docket.
Yeah.
Madam President, I'll defer to you if you would like to allow for another individual to speak for docket items, public comment for docket items only.
Yes, that's fine.
Understood. Okay, here you go. Here you are, ma'am.
That's speak. I was going to speak. Miss Faith there? Oh, I thought she.
Okay.
She's waiting for her to come.
Hello, City Council. I'm sorry, I got here a little late, and there's quite a few items I would like. I wrote them down, so I'd make it fast. Number one, the 25-221.
Ma'am, if you could please just say your name and address for the record, so choose.
Faith Ann Pearson, 83 Clag Avenue. The National Gun Violence Awareness Day and month for June the 7th. I really appreciate that. I'm also hoping that this will work in conjunction or incorporated with the ordinance last period that was referencing the locking up of the guns in the homes. I do hope it works in conjunction because we need to do something about the gun violence. 25-031 is a house being sold for Ingram Avenue. It's being sold to a LLC, and I was wondering if on any of the purchase agreements with these homes being sold that are city-owned, if there is anything that can be stipulated that the homes go into a human being's name. I understand some of them, there's groups of people that want to, as a group, take the properties. But if there's something happens, there's no way for you to go to them as an individual, whether it's to do something with their driver's license or go for them to physically be held accountable for the properties that they're purchasing. This way, I feel if you have something with their actual name, and if it is part of the purchase agreement for city-owned properties, it could make it a little bit easier for the city council as well as the city lawyer. There's several of those homes that are coming under the LLCs, but I'm not going to, I think that's about it. I covered it all. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and I'm sorry I was late.
Thank you, Miss Faith. That's it, right?
Okay, Madam President, those are all the individuals we have for public comment for agenda items only. That brings us to approval of communications, petitions, and reports. If you want to ask for a motion to approve.
May we have a motion to approve?
Second.
Roll call. Councilwoman Feliciano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg,
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
and Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried. And at this time, Madam President, if you want to ask for a motion to approve the minutes of April 1st and April 15th, 2025.
Maybe have a motion to approve minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Councilwoman Feliciano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg,
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried. And moving on with the docket, Madam President, I believe at this time, and I'll defer to administration, but it's my understanding that ordinance, with the exception of ordinance 25-50 and ordinances 25-063 and 064, the remainder of the ordinances for this docket are being pulled.
Council President, may,
Director Bridges.
yes, that's going to be pulled temporarily. So we need to get a little bit more information. Until then, we're just going to pull this temporarily. Hopefully that you'll be seeing it on the next agenda.
Okay, so all of them except for 50 and what other numbers you just said? Garcia? 63. I don't see 63.
All but 50
Oh, that's first
and,
reading, first reading.
yeah. And the exception of, what is it, 64 and 63? 63 and 64.
All right.
Okay. So that would bring us to resolutions, Madam President. And I'll just make a note now that we do have two walk-ons. I believe they will be listed as 222 and 223. And with that being said, are there any resolutions that you wish to extract or that the council wishes to extract for questions or for a possible consent agenda?
Madam President?
Yes, hold on one second, Councilwoman. Let me just get that right paper for you. All right, Councilwoman Feliciano.
Thank you. 25209.
So,
I'm sorry, Council. I'm sorry. I apologize for interrupting there. We did get rid of a bunch of ordinances, but I do still have to do a second reading for 25050. My apologies.
got it.
I'll go ahead and read that by title. Ordinance 25-50, an ordinance adopting the classification of Class 2 special law enforcement officers in the Department of Police. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak to this ordinance at this time? Seeing none, Madam President, if you want to ask for a motion to approve.
May we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Roll call. Councilwoman Feliciano?
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg?
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee?
Abstain.
Noted. Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Council President Gonzalez?
Yes.
Motion carried. And moving, Madam President, back to resolutions at this time. I believe we were looking for resolutions that would be extracted for questions or from possible consent agenda.
Yes, so Councilwoman
Thank you.
Feliciano, you had 209,
Yes, thank you, Madam President. 211,
211.
212,
Mm-hmm.
213, and 216. Thank you.
Problem.
Madam President,
And Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg?
I had 212 to 213, same as Feliciano. So whatever question she doesn't ask, if she doesn't ask my questions, I'll ask. Thank you.
Just 213?
212 and 213.
Oh, 212, okay, thank you.
Council President,
Yes, Councilwoman Frisbee?
25-210. There's a 25-214. (25-063). Was that ordinance?
that's
I'm sorry,
25.
that's ordinance. I take that back.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it for me.
Thank you. And Councilwoman Williams?
25064, ma'am.
064?
Yes, please.
I think that's an ordinance also.
Oh, shoot, you're right.
All right, thank you.
We're all good.
We are all good. Councilwoman Feliciano.
Thank you, Council President. Okay.
25-209.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, council members. Maria Richardson, Business Administrator.
Good evening. This is just a quick question. Looking at page 4, under the workers' compensation, the 1,412,849. The question that I have is this: I know previously we were talking with the law department about an investigator that would be retained or whatever, or looked into or hired, however we want to call it, to go and investigate claims or see what was going on with people. Have we done that? That's the question.
Council President, if I may.
Director Bridges?
Maybe. We have some investigations going on that I would not be comfortable talking about here, but we have utilized the investigator. If maybe you want to, if we could talk sidebar and you ask me specifically, I could answer it.
There's no specific. I just want to know, do we have someone that we hired that is doing investigations? I don't care
Yes.
about what they're investigating. Did we hire somebody that's going to be doing investigations?
Yes.
That was the question. Thank you. Consent.
Thank you. Sorry, guys. I believe we had 212. Hold on. Yeah. Councilwoman Frisbee,
Just-
210.
And I didn't pull it up, Council President, but 25221 as well, please.
Yes, I wrote that
Thank
down.
you.
Thank you.
So 210, Department of Finances, I just would like for you to expound upon. I read the resolution and I thought it was a great idea, but I just, for the sake of the public, if you would just expound upon that.
This resolution basically just allows us to appropriate the money that we have, that we receive in grants. That would allow some of our, we need to, every time that we are going to use grant money for different purposes, we need to do an appropriation, and this is basically what this is all about. So this is for 3 different grants, and we need to make sure that that money is available because we usually get reimbursed after the fact, so we need to appropriate the money.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Consent.
Thank you. Councilwoman Feliciano, it's 2511.
Yep, thank you. 2511 and 2512, I'm going to be asking the same type question about each of them. So for 2511, where we're talking about MLK and Southern Street, just curious what safety improvements will be made? And then the same thing for 212, what improvements are we looking to do?
Reina, do you have any information regarding these 2 grants? Please come. Council President, if you allow me, I will defer to Reina Segura, our city's engineer.
Thank you. Good evening, Ms. Segura.
Thank you. On behalf of Director Anatieri, I'm here to respond to questions.
Thank you. So the questions, good evening. So the question I have was, when it came to 25, 11, and 12, if you could just tell us what safety improvements will be made for MLK and Southern Street, and then what improvemements will be made on 25 to 12.
Well, every year, the city of Trenton actually apply for grants with the NJDOT, and part of the application request a resolution of support. The due date for the application is June the 30th, and we are in the process to complete the application. The process is very competitive, and we don't want to submit an application missing documentation. At the time that we submit the application, this is us trying to be proactive to have a resolution in place to attach to that application before submission. Like I said, we have our consultant, BRS, assisting the city and completing the application.
Okay, so did you answer the question about what improvements are going to be made?
Well, the improvement basically all of the improvement because there are very critical conditions right now, like a street scraping, paving, sidewalks, you name it. We don't know exactly the amount that we are going to receive, so maybe the scope of work is going to be modified at the time that we actually receive the grant, but the intention is to include of the improvement that entails with that area.
I just wanted to round about, like, I'm not going to hold you to, I just wanted to know what they were thinking of when you were doing this. That's fine. I think it's good, right? Because our streets need to be cleaned up. We all know that. Any idea about 25 to 12? If not, it's okay, because you're just asking to apply and accept the award. I just was curious to know. If you know, you know, and if not, it's okay to say.
Well, this is in support to other improvement that we apply for the same section. There are some CDBG funding that are going to be used for the same matter. So we're trying to concur some funding from NJDOT along with some other funding that we have received for the same matter.
Okay. And then once you receive the funds, it's always when you put in to contract to do whatever, then we'll be able to see exactly
That's
what
when the
is gonna be
engineering,
done.
exactly, the scope of work takes on once we know exactly the amount.
Okay. So for me, 25 to 11 consent. For me, 25 to 12, but I know Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg has a question on that.
Councilwoman Figueroa.
Thank you, Council President. I know we discussed this at my last CPAC, Hancock Street. So I believe that, does Hancock have dual ownership with the county or with the state? I know that there's a lot of state buildings and county buildings back there where Hancock leads to. Does the county and state have some responsibility to the maintenance of that street at all?
That is totally on the city. And yes, we acknowledge that there are like a total 8 buildings that's the main entrance to the parking lot, to the county buildings, but the responsibility and maintenance pertain to the city.
Even within that parking lot itself?
Well, the public areas is the one that we actually intended to improve.
Okay. Yeah, I know there's a lot of residents that have been complaining about Hancock. I mean, it is deplorable, but yeah, there's a lot of individuals who work back there and other delegates and elected officials who have come to me about this. So I'm really, really happy that this is getting under consideration, or, you know, we'll be getting a grant hopefully to get fixed. So I do appreciate this. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Consent for you? Thank you. 25-213, Councilwoman Feliciano and Figueroa Kettenberg.
Thank you. Just again, curiosity. Now we're doing all this with the street sweepers and everything. How many working street sweepers do we now have? That's the question.
Reina, Ms. Segura.
Right.
Oh, the third one? So we actually have 2 new ones that are on rotation at this time.
We only have 2. She said how many working, like a total?
Oh,
With the 2.
in total of 4, including the new ones.
Okay, so we have 4 working
Yes.
street sweepers.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg.
So with regards to this purchasing of parts and services to repair, are these for the 2 that were not brand new that still need service? Or is this in case of, ill repair or whatever that's needed? What is this funding for?
My understanding from the superintendent perspective is that he's preparing like a kind of blanket to have it ready for all of the repairs that may comes up.
So now we have, from my understanding, and I know I talked about this again at my last meeting, but there's 4 working sweepers for the city of Trenton. Are we on schedule now with street sweeping schedules as per ordinance, as per signs, as per neighborhoods, as per tours and districts and all of that?
Yes, we're currently on a schedule, and that was confirmed this morning.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Consent.
Consent.
Thank you. Next, we have Councilwoman Frisbee, 25-214.
Good evening, Sean Semple, Director of Water and Sewer.
Good evening, Director. So in reading this, I finally learned what air vacuum handling actually did. That it helps with the pressure and getting that distributed properly. And again, my question is for you now, the same. If you would expound upon that so that the public better understands that they will get the same understanding that I now have about these air vacuum handling for the department.
So these are devices throughout our system that helps with the pressure in each pressure zones as we go along. I don't know how, I can't get more technical than that. It might confuse people, but it's mainly to control the flow of air within our system to maintain pressure throughout the system.
So if we don't have these in place and properly maintained, what happens?
There's an annual maintenance system. You'll have loss of pressure in some areas. Mainly, that's one of the main things.
Okay, thank you. I just thought it was interesting. I didn't hear the term before, so it's like, let me have.
They come every year. Every year is under the.
Now I understand it. So thank you, sir.
I think
Consent.
216 is mine also.
Thank you. Yep, and 216, Councilwoman Feliciano.
Thank you. Good evening, Director Semple.
Good evening.
Just a quick question about this. I know we need cleaning services at the water department. I get it. And I see here that there'll be steam cleaning the carpets and stuff. But what's going to be? Is there any intention to actually replace the carpet upstairs on the second floor from like water damage from what I'm understanding and different things that have happened, concerns about mold and stuff. Like is there anything gonna be done about the carpet?
Yes, that's an independent contract that we have to put out to do any replacement like that. And we will be doing that. We've done in some offices so far, but we're gonna go throughout the building eventually. But that's a separate contract from the cleaning company.
I know. As VA Richardson knows, I will use these as opportunities for me to slide in other questions if it pertains to it. So since y'all gonna steam clean the carpet, we might as well talk about replacing it as well.
Yes.
Thank you, consent.
Thank you. And then the last one would be 221, Councilwoman Frisbee.
Thank you, Madam President. So I wanted to first say thank you to Councilwoman Feliciano for bringing this resolution
221.
221.
That's not the one you're talking
That's this resolution 221.
No, it's a resolution, 25-220.
Oh, wait, so this is different. Okay, you're right, sorry. Okay. I'm looking at this, the walk-on, that's why.
It's the gun violence one.
Yeah, that's,
So this is a National Gun Violence Awareness Day, and I just wanted to thank her, and I also to thank Councilwoman Feliciano for acknowledging and putting this resolution together. I believe it's her second year doing this, and I just wanted to say that I appreciate it. Many of you know, some of you may not know that I'm the local gun violence lead for Mercer County, Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. And each year we have the mayors and a lot of other elected officials put together proclamations that declare the first weekend in the month of June as National Gun Violence Awareness Day. And it is a rare thing to have all of your council and your mayors on at the same time. And so I wanted to just acknowledge that we have a proclamation here from our mayor who has done it. This is now, I believe, his 6th year doing it for Moms Demand Action. And we have our council members, this board, since we've been in sessions for 2 years now, that we've been doing it. So I just want to say thank you. We are doing our best to make gun safety a priority here in our city, and everything that we can do, every step, along with the resolution, the ordinance that we passed at the last session, we are doing that to make sure that we can keep our community as safe as possible. So thank you. And that is consent.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, I believe that was all of the questions for resolutions.
Madam President, we do have 2 walk-ons here. I don't know whether you would like me to read the titles to those 2 walk-ons. They're listed as resolutions 25-222 and 223.
Could you please?
Certainly. Resolution 25-222, resolution awarding a contract through a fair and open process in accordance with NJSA 19:44A20 et sec to CDM Smith Incorporated for lead service line inventory, annual compliance engineering, and consulting services for the Department of Water and Sewer, Trenton Waterworks, in an amount not to exceed $143,100 for a period of 1 year from the date of award, RFP 2025-12. That's again, resolution 222.
Council President,
Yes, Councilwoman Feliciano.
I'm sorry, real quick. So is it that CDM Smith is the only company that we can work with for this? I mean, because like RVE came in at 142,655, DE and P, and I know that you worked with CDM Smith in the past.
Sean Semple, Director of Water and Sewer. So we do an evaluation process, and I don't partake in that process. We spread it out among various engineers within the water utility. CDM Smith, this is my take on it. They have an advantage because they've worked within the system before for many years, and they know how to do this bid process. They know the system. They know what is required, right? And the pricing is always competitive. So we can't just neglect them. Whereas in the other one that we're about to read is not CDM Smith this time, but another company. And to be honest with you, CDM Smith was late with their submission to the second one, right? And they was upset, but I said, no, you're late, you're out. Right away, I rejected them. So there's nothing I could do. They know the system better than other engineering firms.
I do have one other question. I think I can ask the question, but okay. Thank you, Director. So the question, I don't know, you might stop me, but the question I have is just out of curiosity. CDM Smith employs several former employees from Trenton Waterworks that were with us as consultant on a consultant basis.
So far, I know of 2 employees that used to work for the utility work for CDM, but they have been in no contact with any of the projects associated with us. One of them was an engineer that left, yes. But she has not been part of any of our projects or anything like that since I've been here.
Okay, thank you. Consent.
Thank you.
Noted. And Madam President, I'll read the additional walk-on resolution.
Yes, please.
Resolution 25-223, resolution awarding competitive contracting request for proposal through a fair and open process in accordance with NJSA 19:44A20.4 et sec to Suburban Consulting Engineers for engineering services program and construction management for Phase 5 lead service line replacement for the Trenton Waterworks for a period of 2 years from date of award in an amount not to exceed $2,997,335.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Any questions on this, council members? Nope, I guess it's consent.
Understood. And with that, Madam President, if you'd like to ask for a motion to approve a consent agenda, which consists of all but, I believe, one resolution this evening, which is Resolution 25-208 and 206.
Yes. May we have a motion to approve the consent agenda consisting of,
Did you want me to read those resolutions off?
you can if you'd like, just for the record, 206, I'll do it, 206, 220, 221, 207, 208, 209, 210, I'm sorry,
Not
not 208, 207, 209, 210, 211, 212, 213, 214, 215, 216, 217, 218, 219, 222, and 223.
So second,
Thank you.
Roll call, Vice President Edwards,
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg,
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee,
yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried. And moving on, Madam President, to ordinances for second reading and public hearing. We have 2 of those. I'm sorry?
First reading, you mean?
I'm sorry.
You said second, but I was going to do him at.
Oh, I'm sorry for first reading. I apologize.
Yes, first reading. And then afterwards, we can do the presentation before public comment, please.
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
My apologies for, ordinances for first reading.
First reading, yes.
Ordinance 25-63, an ordinance requiring the distribution of utility notices to residential tenants by landlords or owners of residential premise within the city of Trenton. And Madam President, if you want to ask for a motion to approve.
May we have a motion to approve?
So moved. I have, would it come after if I have questions or amendments, I would suggest for that?
After the motion, I think.
Second.
Thank you.
Go ahead with discussion.
So discussion, Councilwoman Frisbee.
Yes. Thank you, Madam President. So my question is, I like the idea. I'm not clear on whether or not, and I meant to ask this question earlier, but at the bottom where it says Section 2, mandatory distribution of notices, it lists 4 methods of notices. Are the landlords required Two, is it saying that the landlords are required to notify by all four methods? Is this an or? That part of it is my first question.
Council President?
Councilwoman Feliciano.
Thank you. Thank you for the question, Councilwoman Frisbee.
Yes, ma'am.
I know I can't find mine either.
1 second.
I got it.
With 3 business days, provide a copy by personal service, posting the same via certified mail return receipt. So it's or, it's so at the end, because we have the or after 3 or 4, but all of them, it's by personal service or posting the same. Well, wait a minute, Mr. Kaloji, 1 second. Mr. Kaloji,
I don't know why I'm missing it.
it's me.
Miss.
The Lionel Richie song. On here.
Yeah.
It
gives 4 options.
Yes,
Right.
but, and at the end, at the very end, it says or, and so I don't know if it's just or, but that one is.
Personal service posting, or you want them to be with.
No, I don't. I want to know if that's what we're requiring. Are we saying that they have to do all 4 of them, or is it one,
One.
2, one of the, 2 of the other?
Because it's an order, I think, and if you do any one of 4, you've complied.
Right.
Okay.
So it's any one of the 4. It's they can do, the personal, you can read that. Yeah.
So thank you, Mr. Kaloji. Thank you, Councilwoman Feliciano.
Yep.
So my question then behind that is, if it is a or, they could do one of the 4. How do they verify? How do we know for certain, unless we're making a requirement? Because if they're posting, let's say, something on someone's door, the tenant can say they didn't receive it. The personal services, that's usually something that's certified, although I do see certified mail and return receipt on the second, under the third one. But how do we know that they've done what they're supposed to do? That's the part. How are we holding them accountable for that?
So that's a good question. I think to the point about the posting of the same on the tenant's door. I mean, they could say that they did, and you're right, and the tenant could remove it off if they chose to. But I think that maybe then, instead of saying on the tenant's door, we could say in a public space in the building itself where it would be displayed, then that way we could verify that way. Like, so if they had like a bulletin board or something like that, a general place within the building itself, then we could say instead of posting on the tenant's door, it could be in a open place in the complex where the people would be able to see it.
Councilwoman, I'm going to offer what may be a simple suggestion where it has posting same on the tenant's door, amend the ordinance to add to that if received by the tenant. So posting is valid if the tenant gets it. If the tenant doesn't get it, that particular option, number 2, wouldn't be valid. I'm just throwing it out as maybe a way to amend it in a non-substantive way so we could get it on, but I'll do whatever council indicates.
So then, Councilwoman Frisbee, to your point with that, would it suffice to say posting same on tenant's door
If the tenant receives it.
But
no, you need an and with that. There needs something in addition to, because
so we could post on the door.
That's not
and
right.
in a
You need
general
addition to.
place. We could leave it on the door and in a public area.
Right.
In the
Common area.
right.
And
Yeah.
suggested to follow Mr. Kaloji's, if I may, Council President, sorry.
No, good.
To fleshed out a little bit, and or posted in a publicly accessible place if there's a common area. I think if you do and or, that would capture what we're trying to accomplish.
So I think with that part, Madam President,
Yes.
that it just needs to be something else in addition to, not an or, that you can't put an or there with one of someone's door, because the landlord could say that they posted it there and they didn't. The tenant, the landlord can put it on there and the tenant take it away. And so you have that. So this is why I'm saying whether we can do an email, we can say a common place be it at an elevator, be it at a front door, something like that would suffice there. I think that would help with that.
Certified mail.
So, Council President, thank you. To Councilwoman Frisbee's point, let's just take out say posting the same on the tenant's door and
Right.
in a publicly accessible place.
There you go.
So we need a motion to amend the ordinance with, as indicated by the council.
So, Madam President, if you want to ask for a motion to amend the ordinance.
I have I'm not done with the ordinance.
Oh, I'm
Hold
sorry.
on one second. We have two questions on the floor.
I still have,
She's
I'm
not
not,
done yet, and then I'll go to you, Councilwoman Williams.
okay, so thank you for that. And then the other part is that if the notice results in a payment violation, as it says in section 3 with penalties and non-compliance, additional tenants can with, I'd like to see, maybe should entertain that tenants, if the tenant's water, electricity is about to be turned off because the landlord is not doing what they're supposed to do, I'd like for it to be added into that the tenants can withhold payment of rent in lieu of paying the outstanding utility violations if it is not brought up to code within the said violation notices.
Council President,
Yeah.
if I could answer that question.
Yes.
Director Bridges.
One great idea. Unfortunately, that's governed by landlord-tenant statutes. We would not be able to put in legislation that would trump their obligations under landlord-tenant. That would be kind of a self-help remedy. So while it's a good idea and it makes a lot of sense, if that were challenged, it would be stricken from this legislation.
So, Mr. Bridges, there's nothing that we can do to protect the tenants if the landlord does not do what they're supposed to do? Because I'm in a situation literally right now with someone that.
Well, I think that's the spirit and thought behind this legislation. We can legislate, we can't legislate to legislate, right? So we have this legislation here and it's a matter of enforcement. So if there are tenants that are experiencing these issues, as part of the enforcement, they need to be confident to bring it to our attention so then we could put it in the right folks' hands, enforce the statute. But to say that, we're putting in legislation that allows a tenant to withhold rent that's more subject and ripe to a landlord-tenant dispute, that would definitely be stricken by the courts if it were challenged.
Okay.
But I think this is the spirit and the purpose of this, to protect our tenants in the city who are not getting these notifications. And I think the natural flow would be if someone were all to come home and they no longer have water or heat, and they're informed that it was because their landlord wasn't paying it, they would be able to, either the city stat or coming to one of these council meetings, bring that to our attention so then it would help us to, increase our enforcement mechanism with this. So I think that's really the goal. I was not the author of this. I don't believe the administration was, but I believe that was the stated goal behind this actual piece of legislation.
Thank you. So then I would like to suggest that for the second violation and for the third violation, if we were in agreement to double each one, I'd like to make them not want to not pay attention to what they're leaving, what shapes they're leaving the residents in. So instead of it being 200 of a fine for the second violation, I'd like for it to be 500, and for the third one, instead of 500, $1,000.
I'm in agreement. Council President?
Councilman Feliciano,
I'm in agreement with.
to double the fines.
Yeah.
So
We have to wait.
amend the second violation to 500 and third violation to 1,000.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have it.
So, Council
Thank you,
President,
Councilwoman.
you're welcome. Council President, before we move to Councilwoman Williams, so you can catch all these amendments if we do it at one time. I think too, this is where the Rent Stabilization Board would come in handy as well. So to Councilwoman Frisbee's point, Director Bridges, should we mention them at all in this, like the Rent Stabilization Board, like if they have the penalties for the landlords not doing it, then can we have something where they also have to be brought before the Rent Stabilization Board if a complaint is filed by the tenant? Like, can we require something like that to be done? That makes sense?
You could, but I think the Rent Stabilization Board is more attuned to the setting the standards for the base rent. I think it's really something that the administration would have to take ownership of and be the leader of that. Or if someone's violating this, then we need to be able to send someone from inspections, housing, whatever out there to enforce it. It's going to be hard to enforce because more likely than not, we're not going to have notice of these violations until such time as someone is affected by it.
Right.
So,
Okay.
So yeah, all great ideas, but I don't think it hurts. I think that's more of a conversation to be had with the folks from Rensselaer. I think it's a great idea. I just don't know if they have the capability or knowledge of doing it. But I think it's a great idea to kind of belt and suspender it. I don't belittle that suggestion at all.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you, ma'am. First, I just want to say I'm very supportive of the suggestion for amending this that was made by my colleagues. But I have a question, probably ultimately go to legal counsels. Regarding this, should an agreement as part of a new lease agreement, a renewal also be from both parties, management and a tenant, that management agrees to provide all notices to the tenant upon signing of that lease? And I don't know if that's appropriate for this ordinance, but if it can be, that would be good.
You lost me a little bit in the Middle East. I got
That,
lost there. My bad.
requirement would be when a lease is entered or renewed, or signed, for a new lease or a renewal of a lease, that management as well as the tenant sign another piece of paper essentially requiring that management will provide all utility notices to the tenant before the tenant signs that contract, so they know what they're getting into, and then the management knows that they are due to provide all these utility notices before we even get to the fines, which will probably be very necessary.
Sure. I really wish you guys would ask me more yes questions, because as Mr. Kaloji likes to say, no one likes to say no to the council. We could ask that, we could put that in there, but there's really, I don't think that's freedom of contract at that point in time. And I think if the landlords say we're not going to embed that in our leases, I don't think that we could force them to. But if there's a kind of a silver lining, this legislation requires them to do that regardless of what's contained in the lease. So hopefully that will, help our renters in the city understand that. And look, there's also nothing wrong with asking the landlords to give the legislation or give a summary of that to their tenants as they're entering into these leases for their information. Again, that's a hard requirement to enforce. How are we going to know really that all of the leases, the thousands of leases that we have in the city of Trenton are including that information? But I think it's really going to be an advertisement campaign for our renters, for them to appreciate and understand that this is out there for them to protect them from landlords that aren't carrying out their obligations in terms of fulfilling utility payments, what have you. All good ideas, but like I said, if we can't force someone to put our legislation into their private contracts.
But may I ask one other question? So this would probably be a state level or federal remedy for this. We would not be able to provide some resolution to this ordinance for this under consumer protection.
Can you repeat that one more time, Councilwoman?
Regarding as to protect the consumer, protect a renter, we would not be able, under the legal concept of consumer protection, and be particularly in contract law,
I think
would not be able to do this. It sounds like that's what I'm hearing, and
yeah, I don't think we'd be
change anything. But
I don't think we'd be able to. Those issues would be addressed again in landlord-tenant court, and now to that end, if as a hypothetical, if a tenant were to come home and discover that their utilities are not available to them because of something that their landlord did, they would be able to proactively go in landlord-tenant and have that addressed. So there's really some robust, court rules on that and rules and procedures. But I don't think we would be successful in forcing landlords to put this wording into their leases with all the tenants that they have. And unfortunately, great idea, but unfortunately, it would, if challenged, again, if it's never challenged, and you could do whatever you want. But if challenged, it would definitely more likely to not get struck down by a court.
all right, thank you very much. Thank you.
Council President?
I had Councilwoman Figueroa Kemper. Go ahead.
Oh,
She was next.
okay.
Sorry. Well, go ahead, Councilwoman Feliciano, so you don't forget.
Thank you. I'm sorry. It was off of Councilwoman Williams' question. So to that point now, is it possible that, because we're putting out some really good stuff, right, with the rent stabilization thing and all of this stuff, can we have it where they have to maybe not put it in the lease, but they have to post it, like post our ordinances in the common areas in the apartment complexes. So we have to get it to them. So once we pass all of these things and they're done, then can we have it where, I guess the clerk's office would then send it to the places, right? They could send it via certified mail or whatever to the offices to say, here these are, and you must put them up. So is that a new ordinance then that would have to be drafted to say that any ordinances or changes to ordinances must be posted in the common areas in the apartment complexes? They have to be, because then the tenants can see it and we don't have to worry. And then we can put even more fines if they don't do it, because now anybody could walk in and see, because we're requiring them to post it up. Can an ordinance like that, can we do that?
I appreciate the yes question. Yes.
I will, okay. So I will be crafting an ordinance forthcoming then to require that would be done.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettberg.
All right, so I'm gonna try not to be confusing with all of this. With regards to paying utilities, water or whatever, isn't it contingent on the landlord and the tenant, whether or not who would be responsible for those utilities throughout the lease? So would that just be a factor in the lease? Like either the tenant is responsible for the utilities or the landlord is responsible for the utilities?
Yes and no. If it is a lease whereby the tenant is the named biller and they're getting the bill and paying the bill directly, then no. But if it were a situation where the landlord is paying and that those utilities were part of the lease obligation, then yes.
So then this ordinance would have to speak something to that, whether or not, who was obligated to pay this utility based on that lease agreement, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. 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 All right. Okay. And then, thank you. And then the second question was, could there be some type of certification of zero balance at the start of the lease? That there's no outstanding balance for this utility before this person signs this lease? Because that happens a lot. People go into these lease agreements thinking that there is no balance. They do not go to PSE&G. They do not go to the water company to find out if there's a zero balance and the balance is settled. And now they've signed this lease agreement and then they're somehow culpable or liable for that cost.
I'm a little confused. I apologize, Councilwoman.
So there could be an outstanding balance from a previous tenant or, from that household prior to the leasee moving into this house. Could there be a requirement for a certification of zero balance from whatever utility before this leasee moves into this house or signs this agreement so that they are not liable for any preceding fees or costs?
So are we speaking of the scenario where the landlord is responsible for utility or where the tenant is responsible?
Well, either or. So if I'm gonna lease a new house or apartment and I sign this agreement, which says that I'm responsible for utilities. However, I do not have a certification of zero balance from either utility company. So now I've signed this. Does this mean that I am liable for the previous fees, or is that landlord liable?
Council President?
I'm sorry, Council, I wanted to address that.
Councilwoman Feliciano, then Frisbee.
Okay, so from the standpoint of, and Director Semple can correct me if Council President will allow it, if I'm incorrect, from when I was at the water company. For the city of Trenton, the balance stays with the property, but in the township, it moves with the person. So to Councilwoman Figueroa's point, Figueroa's point, if a tenant, if the landlord has the water bill in their name and it stays with the property, and then the person moves out and they didn't pay it, then the landlord should be going down to the water department to get the final reading, the final bill, to close out that account from that tenant before the new person moves in. it makes it difficult when they leave it in their own name because sometimes they will just let things kind of linger and go. So to your point of requiring the final reading upon transfer of tenant, that does make sense. If that's the case, if we could impose something like that on the landlords to say, you have to produce with every, with the move out, you have to produce a final bill, a final reading from the water side. I don't know about PSENG or anything else, but I know from the water side, the bill stays with the property, not the person.
So I think that type of thing, can be done. I just keep in mind the big picture. I think there was a comment earlier about if the tenant signs something, let's say in a lease agreement, that it requires the tenant to whatever. We can't by ordinance interfere with lease agreements. Residential tenancy in New Jersey is governed by a very comprehensive statutory scheme. Now, something like this requiring the landlord to give the tenant a document or notice of an issue regarding the utilities, that's fine because that doesn't in any way interfere. So whatever we're going to require the landlord to do within reason is probably okay. The only issue is we can't do anything that says, a tenant is not responsible even though they've signed a lease agreement on a certain issue. Okay.
Madam President, just to answer that, that wasn't, the point was basically there'd be a certification of zero balance before they sign that lease agreement, or even if there isn't, that when they sign that lease agreement, they are not responsible for anything that accumulated prior to their move-in date. That was the issue. Because that has happened where people have moved in and there's been a prior bill that was not satisfied and now they're getting billed and the landlord is not paying and the tenant is required to pay, otherwise water gets shut off.
That, if I may, Council President Ed, jump in. Yeah, so that again is a landlord-tenant complaint that would be brought against the landlord for not providing what they agreed to provide to in the lease. So if they were to move in January and then in February, they're getting threats of their water being cut off for non-payment, they would go into landlord-tenant and say, my landlord has breached my lease agreement by not paying utilities that they agreed to pay in that lease agreement, and they would get their remedies from the Superior Court landlord-tenant.
Wait, Madam President, I'm sorry. Director Bridges, no, but my point was if in the agreement, the lease agreement, the tenant is required to pay the utilities, that was in that aspect, then would they still be responsible or culpable for the previous accumulated bill or not? How can we protect that?
I don't know that we can, because they wouldn't be getting that from their landlord. They would be getting that from the city. So that would then require them to simultaneously prior to executing their lease agreement to then come to the city and get that certification from the city itself if the landlord is not doing what they're supposed to do.
So so that would be the certification.
Yeah, so it would be a certification from us, from the city.
Okay.
Madam President,
Councilwoman Edwards.
I just wanted to speak to some of your comments, Councilwoman. As a landlord, PSENG is typically in the tenant's names, unless it's in like maybe a building where all utilities are included. But when you sign your lease, from the date of that lease, that is binding a contract. So if the landlord tries to charge for services that they did not partake in prior to the beginning of their lease, they can take them to tenant landlord court. But I would say to your idea about there being a certified zero balance, right? So yes, in the city of Trenton, the water is attached to the property. It doesn't go with the person. So it does need to be settled out. However, the landlord handles that. Sometimes tenants are evicted or they leave and there's still a balance on there. That's the landlord's responsibility to get that down to zero. But in the city of Trenton, you're required to get a certificate of occupancy in between every tenant. So maybe the administration could come up with a process that requires, when they do the inspection for the CO, they can require a zero balance for water and sewer bills before they get issued a CO. And that will help significantly bring in revenue that we've been missing out on for Trenton Waterworks as well. So maybe that can be an administrative change. I don't know if that's a council change, but maybe the administration could implement that requirement. So.
But maybe a suggestion, Council President. It seems like there are a lot of questions related to this, and maybe it makes sense to have this pulled and put in your questions in writing so that the council can get back to you with all these questions, with all the answers.
Council President?
Yes, Councilman Feliciano.
So I don't think we need to pull this. It sounds to me like there just needs to be other things that are flushed out and created as a result of this. Because this just specifically speaks to the distribution of utility notices. We're talking about other things, talking about zero certificates and all this other stuff posted on the wall and ordinances. These sound like all other different pieces of legislation that people can put together to make it work. But this stands alone on its own face as it is. So I don't recommend that we pull it.
Thank you.
Respectfully.
Really quick, I don't want to prolong this either, but I did just want to ask one quick question with section 2. I know we were talking about posting it in common areas and amending it to say that. I see it says personal, where is it? Tenant, landlord or owner who receives a utility notice as defined above shall with 3 business days or receipt provide a copy of same using certified mail or electronic communication. All of the, if they do either one of those, that is considered that they were doing it. Okay, just want to make sure, because I see electronic in there, so it doesn't, if they did that, they don't have to post it on the actual door. Got it. So can we just read off the amendments, please, so I can make sure I have it? I have 25063 to include add. We want to put, I mean, not add, and
Yes, under section 2, number 2, posting same on the tenant's door and in a publicly accessible place.
got it. And then we have doubling the fines from 250 to 500, 500 to 1,000.
Yes.
Thank you. In section 3, oh yeah, that was in section 3. Yep, got it. All right, just want to make sure I had it correctly. So, Mr. Garcia, can we, I could just do the motion. Oh, he's not even here. Maybe we have a motion to amend 25-063 to include and in section 2, number 2, to include in a publicly accessible area. And then we, on section 3, we will double the fines from 250 to 500 and 500 to 1,000.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
And I'll take roll call. Council Vice President Edwards,
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg,
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes?
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Amendment passed.
Thank you.
Are you going to want to vote on this after all, or will this be pulled?
That was the
Well,
vote
that's-
to amend. Now
that
we
is-
need a vote to introduce the ordinance as amended.
Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. All right.
So may we have a motion to approve the resolution as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Well, to introduce it.
To introduce
Madam
it.
President.
Yes.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Introduce, yeah.
So moved.
Thank you.
I'll
And-
take a roll call. Council Vice President Edwards,
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg, Councilwoman Frisbee,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes?
and Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Righty. And moving on to ordinance 25-064.
Yes. May we have a motion to approve 25-064?
So moved.
Second.
Council President.
Yes, Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you. My issue with this particular ordinance is rule number 4, rule number 4, the presiding officer, that the council president may exceed themselves if this is being deleted in its entirety. When this council first came together in 2023, as council jointly had decided, may not have been unanimous, but I have to remember that, that we would not have a council president be able to be council president the next year and the next year and the next year after that, to try as best as possible to give all 7 members a chance to ultimately become vice president and president. And I disagree with this, and I recommend that our council not vote for this, though I'm sure it was brought together in good faith because, well, first of all, it's not necessarily democratic in the sense of that each member would have a guaranteed at least shot at being council president over their 4-year term, let alone it does concentrate power potentially underneath one person as a council president from year to year. We've had that in the past. Sometimes it's worked well, sometimes it's not worked out well, sometimes in between. But I'm also not sure, while it has been public, as far as being published, that the members of the public have really had time to really consider this, and in not having a chance to rotate the position, which is something, again, so far this council has operated upon. I don't see a need for this. We've had 3 council presidents in 3 years. We would theoretically have a 4th of our current body, and I think that's healthy. I think having change each year has been a good thing for this council. Each of our presidents have done a good job, but to not be able to offer everyone for sure a chance at being able to lead, and that's something I know we all discuss, is people wanting to be leaders. I would recommend that we do not pass this ordinance with Rule 4 being changed.
Thank you, Councilwoman Williams. I'm going to allow Councilwoman Frisbee and Councilwoman Feliciano, who suggested some of the changes to this ordinance, to speak to it. So Councilwoman Frisbee.
Thank you, Council President. So from the beginning, when we first got elected, I suggested that it was 2 terms, 2 years. I believe that when you're getting in the council seat and you're getting things in motion, you're just getting your footing really, and I found that to be true when I was in the president's seat. I believe 2 years is more fitting, and so maybe we even amend it, we delete that the council may not succeed himself for such a position, but that for more than 2 terms, so being 2 years, is what I believe is more amicable. I believe, I've said that from the beginning, and I will continue with that. I believe that we should, council seat should have the options for being there for 2 years instead of 1 year. 1 year, you're just getting things in motion, and I think you should have the 2nd year to really get things implemented. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Feliciano, you want to add anything?
Sure, thank you. So to that, you know, when all of this was first put together, initially it was a 4-year term for the former council and how they operated. And with that 4-year term, they had, you shall not succeed yourself, which makes sense because you served 4 years, flip it and let somebody else get an opportunity. With this, and yes, Councilwoman Williams, you're right. When we said this, it was 1 year. We want the rotation. We also had in there that the VP would get the first nomination with the thought that when we plan for succession planning, that it would have made sense, right? That the VP would then ascend to the president's seat, therefore allowing the rotation to happen. That didn't happen this time. Either you have the votes or you don't. And that's what it really comes down to. And so in the meeting of the minds and figuring it out, and most said that they, a few said that they didn't want the VP to have the first nomination, right, to be the president. So now we're working all of that out. To meet halfway with the whole 2-year piece of it, it's you can succeed yourself, because if you get the votes, then you can. So this is what it comes down to. Anybody that wants to be in leadership on this council has to show that they can work with everyone collectively, collaboratively, that they're going to be willing to communicate, that they're going to be willing to put forth the good effort. If you get the votes, then you have the votes. We've seen this now in practice where we had a good, in my opinion, a great VP that would have ascended if we had went with the spirit of an at-large and a ward person at the same time to kind of set it off, and then to move with the spirit of transitioning. That did not happen. And that is the democratic process. People have a choice. And I respect people and their choices. So I feel like this is good as it is. We also worked in where we added the one meeting for July, November, and August, right? The July, August, and November to update that. The fact that the meetings are on the first and third Tuesday of the month, that was changed as well to add, to address that. And the part about the nominations and appointments, about the people coming to appear before council, the ad hoc meeting minutes, that when we sit on these ad hoc committee meetings and we sit in these meetings, we should be distributing some kind of report to council. Otherwise, how would we all know what's going on if only 3 people are in the room and those 3 only know what's happening, and then everything comes before the rest of the body and nobody knows? So there's a couple of pieces that were added to this. So that's what I would like to suggest, submit to that. I think that this is, I think it's appropriate given everything that has taken place in the direction that we would look to go. But I also would like to say, I would like to see the council rotate. I would like those that want position to be given the opportunity to serve and to lead the council if it is the will of the body. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Williams and then Figueroa Kettenberg.
Thank you, ma'am. First of all, I respect what my colleague, both my colleagues said. When it comes to this, I think each person on this council is fully capable and has expressed that to communicate, to lead, to try to collaborate over these number of, around about 2.5 years. So to me, what this process feels like is that once we get to October, November, anybody who wants to lead, who wants to be council president or council vice president, is going to have to lobby their colleagues. So this is a lot like what ends up in Congress, and I'm not so totally sure that that's a good thing. But I don't think that this will necessarily lead to a good outcome. I don't like the idea that we have to lobby to get votes, but that is the Democrat way. You have to have 4 votes to become the leadership on council. So that is statutorily what we have to do. I just think we have been served very, very well, unlike past councils, by having the 1-year term that was agreed upon at the beginning. For whatever there's conditions where the result has been a very good result for our council, our body as colleagues, and for our city of Trenton. But I respect the difference of opinion, ma'am.
Thank you. Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg.
Thank you. So 2 thoughts on this. One, obviously we learned that having the first nomination for as vice president to president doesn't mean anything. You either get the vote or you don't. To Councilwoman Williams' point, I understand where you're coming from, and you know, the succession could mean that somebody could have a second term, but it's not a guarantee that somebody would have that second term. So with that being said, what we learned about the VP position moving to president is kind of the same thing. You know, allow the person's work and what they're doing speak for itself. Should they be voted for a second term, should the majority of council think that they've done a good enough job to move into that position, then so be it. And then, you know, we could always elect a new vice president at the time. So I don't necessarily think that that's a bad idea, just to allow the possibility of a second term, because it's not a guarantee. You know, just the same way that first nomination for vice president does not guarantee a presidential seat. You know, in my thoughts, it's the same thing. So with that, as I do understand where you're coming from, Councilwoman Williams, I don't necessarily think that it's a terrible idea.
Thank you,
Madam
Council.
President.
Go ahead, Councilwoman Frisbee.
I'm sorry. So just to put it in what I should have said earlier is, so for me, part of leadership is making sure that you engage everybody with council. You should not just be engaging any one person, 2 person. That is part of leadership, making sure that you are establishing good relationships. And yes, lobbying and getting questions answered if anyone asks for why do you want the leadership position? Just like they ask us, why do you want to be on council? We should be able to answer that, especially to our colleagues. If we're spending this much time together, communication for me is absolutely key. One of the things that we might want to consider, and I think we might want to put in here, is that we would limit whoever is in the president's seat. if they are to succeed themselves to no more than 2 terms. So I'll say that again. I did say that earlier. So there, no one is in the seat for more than 2 years. I don't want us to ever go back to where someone is in the seat 3, 4, 5, so many years. That part of it I am in agreement with, but I do believe that yes, we should solicit one another, which means we are going to have conversations with one another. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. And I just really quickly, I just want to say I agree totally with Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg said. I don't think it's a bad idea, and I really didn't want to speak to this because I am in the presidency, so I don't want anyone to think that I'm out here saying, you know, I'm going to succeed or whatever. But I do believe that, you know, if council does wish to see someone there for more than one term, I don't think that's a bad idea. So I agree completely with what she said. That wasn't going to be what I was going to say. But on the ad hoc committee where we said shall submit written summaries, and I know this isn't for, when we were doing the ad hoc committee resolution or ordinance, I can't remember what it was. I thought we said we didn't want to have this, so we're adding it to here. So that means we should go back and amend the other one because I don't remember us adding that in there, did we?
Council President?
Yes.
That was for something else.
Oh.
That was for the liaison position. So
Gotcha.
when she was saying the liaison to council, this, we're telling her
As
to
a
say,
committee.
as our committees
Okay.
for us, we need to be responsible. So like how we have our HED committee and, you know, finance and things like that, we need to be submitting reports to each other.
Gotcha.
So that way, when we're coming forth, everybody knows exactly what's going on.
Okay.
And can say, this is what we met about, this is what we talked about. So when you start seeing these things come forward, we're all on
All
the
aware.
same page
I agree.
and understand what's happening.
I like that. Thank you. And so do we
Thank you.
want to add, really quickly, so we can kind of move past this one, do we want to add that should not serve more than 2 terms in here somewhere?
Yes, I'm fine with that.
Amending it.
They can succeed themselves, but for no more than 2 terms total.
Mr. Garcia, did you get that for me?
I did. Is there a motion to amend?
May we have a motion to amend 25064 to include the language after the council president may not succeed himself or herself in such a position. Wait, but no more than 2 years. Wait, let me just go back. The council president may not succeed himself or herself in such a position no more than 2 year. Put that right there.
No more than
Hold
2
on.
terms total?
Two terms, sorry.
Okay.
2 terms. And the same thing for the vice president? Or we just saying president, just president?
As president.
Gotcha.
Just
So,
president.
Council President?
Yes.
Are we saying for no more than 2 one-year terms? 2 1-year
Yes, that's the
terms?
suggestion.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So for no more than 2 1-year terms?
Because the
Gotcha.
term is for 1 year now. So you
Right.
can't do it for more than 2 terms.
More than 2
Right.
1-year
Right.
terms.
So yes, no more than 2 years.
All right, thank you. Councilman Williams.
So then, would that mean the council vice president can essentially, if you're deleting that line, the council president would be able to succeed themselves in perpetuity? Or,
That's
No.
what I said, it should be for both.
because you need to do both of them.
Oh,
If you're going to do the council president, I think we should be doing council vice president.
right, I agree. I think it should be both in a sense.
I have no problem with that, Madam President.
Everybody in agreement?
Just have to get the vote,
That's good. All right, so we'll add it to both.
President and Vice.
So that's
So
a
we're going to do
motion
it to
to,
both vice president and president, Mr. Garcia.
I'm sorry?
So this, no more than 2 1-year terms for president and for the vice president position.
No more than two 1-year terms for the vice president and the president.
Correct. That would be
Got
the
it.
amendment. Thank you. So
And
we
is
have
there
a
a-
motion to amend
Yes.
25064.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second?
That's moved by Frisbee and second by Feliciano, correct?
Yes.
Roll call. Vice President Edwards,
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg,
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes?
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Madam President?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I want to say, first of all, I appreciate the ordinance amendment recommendations, and I do agree with all of them in either way, and I'm glad that we came to a common ground here tonight on the amendments for rule number 4. I don't have any further comments about anything else in the ordinance, but that I appreciate it. But I do want to ask I'm sorry, I'm not brushed up on my Roman numerals, but on the 3rd page, this first rule on here says all nominees for councilmanic appointment. Is that supposed to say council member appointment?
Council President,
No, that's the word, councilmanic.
Councilmanic?
that's the word?
Yeah, that's a word
What does that mean?
pertaining to council. A councilmanic committee, councilmanic duties.
Oh, it's like an umbrella word for various.
I'm gonna Google it now to make sure.
Okay, I was gonna ask Siri for a second.
But 1 second, Council President.
I was gonna say, hey Siri, what is?
To that point though, for Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
part of this, because Councilwoman Frisbee had asked about or mayoral, that was supposed to be in there too. All nominees for any council maniac or manic appointment, and or, that's why I don't like it. That's why I don't like it. And or mayoral appointment shall appear before council. Didn't we?
I see.
That, because that was in A316 also.
It is there. It's listed.
Yeah, I see it. I mean, I don't know wording, but I see it.
Rule.
Yeah.
Oh, we're just adding that as a new last line. Okay. All right, as long as it's still there. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Madam President.
Yes.
I mean, I'm fine with it saying councilmanic, but I think that's gonna cause some confusion. But I did look it
Yeah.
up. It is an adjective meaning either pertaining to a councilman or a councilwoman, but should it just be simplified as council member?
Right, that's what we had.
Oh,
We had council member and or mayor. Sorry, council president.
Yeah.
I understand like council VP is saying, but
that's just.
we kind of going left with the maniac thing.
We could just make a recommendation, just not amend it to council person appointment, council member appointment.
Right.
All right, that's it. Okay, so we adding
Okay,
another
so-
amendment.
I'm sorry. It just looks like council. It looks like council maniac
Yeah,
at
that's
first
what it looks
glance,
like.
and that's why it caught my attention.
But I changed it, and Brandon was supposed to change it and say.
All right, because so we can move forward. So we're going to do one more amendment to this and take out Manic and then add council members. I don't even see that on here on the one that I'm reading, but got it. Okay, but that's not on this one. That's why. But I get it. Yeah. All right.
Well, it's-
So can we just amend? Have a motion to amend 25064 to remove Manic and replace it for members.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Got it. Roll call. Vice President Edwards,
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg,
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried. And Madam President, is there, if you want to ask for a motion to approve?
A motion to approve 25-064 with the amendments.
So moved.
Second.
So much.
Roll call. Vice President Edwards,
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg,
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Abstain.
Noted. And Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right. So
Now, Madam President, is the time of public comment.
yeah. So we're gonna do
I'm sorry?
right before public comment. I just wanted to actually do the presentation that we deleted.
Oh, so sorry. I
It's okay.
apologize.
It's okay. We could squeeze that in really quickly before public comment. And Mr. Maywar, please excuse us for the tardiness, okay? You were patiently waiting, so thank you so much. Go ahead. I'm going to allow Councilman Edwards to do the introduction and presentation.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, everyone. I do want to apologize on behalf of myself for being late today. I got caught behind a very nasty car accident on the way here. But I definitely wanted to get here as soon as I can and respect your time. But I appreciate your patience and waiting for us. Thankfully, it was a very short docket today, so we're here doing this a little bit earlier than expected, so that's great. First of all, this recognition is about celebrating the 20-year anniversary of Classics Bookstore. If anyone knows Classics, if anyone knows the Maywars, they are heavily, heavily involved in the community. And in fact, I met them 13 years ago this year when I had organized a march against gun violence here at City Hall. And I believe Eric reached out to me because I was looking for people to be vendors at the event. I didn't want to just have a rally and we just yell and complain. I wanted to be productive. So we had Moms Demand Action, we had other gun violence organizations, and we had books from Classics Bookstore to include literacy opportunities for the people that attended of all ages. So I want to say thank you for that, because from that day forward, he has been a part of any organization or event that I've had, and I've seen him be a part of just about everyone else's. There is no one in this city that does not know Classics or Eric and Donna. So I just want to say thank you, and I want to read this special recognition. City Council, City of Trenton, special recognition honoring Classics Bookshop for 20 years of service to the City of Trenton. Whereas in 2005, Classics Bookshop was successfully recruited to Trenton by the Trenton Downtown Association as part of an ambitious effort to revitalize the city's downtown retail district. And whereas under the leadership of then TDA Executive Director Matt Bergeheiser, this revitalization transformed South Warren Street from a corridor of empty lots and gutted buildings into a vibrant destination for commerce and community. And whereas Classics Bookshop began as a co-op tenant on South Warren Street, grew to occupy the full retail space, and eventually moved to its permanent home at 4 West Lafayette Street, becoming a beloved cultural fixture in the city. And whereas over the past 20 years, Classics has offered Trenton readers over 1 million books, ranging from classic literature and science fiction to children's books and rare collectibles, including first editions and books bound in leather and gold. And whereas the shop has served as a hub for literacy and creative life in the city, hosting book clubs, poetry open mics, journaling workshops, author signings, and even producing its own publication, The Bookshop on Lafayette Street, a collection of stories and poems inspired by Classics itself. And whereas the shop has welcomed Pulitzer Prize winners and local wordsmiths alike, held 1,040 Friday night Scrabble games, and opened its doors to music videos, mayoral meet and greets, jazz bands, belly dancers, knitters, origami artists, and conversations about urban development. And whereas through its Books at Home program, powered by the Safket Literacy Project and I Am Trenton, Classics has generously distributed over 50,000 books to children in Trenton, recognizing the vital connection between home libraries and long-term educational success. And whereas over the last 2 decades, Classics Bookshop has done far more than sell books. It has sparked friendships, launched careers, supported local artists and entrepreneurs, and helped build a community in the heart of Trenton. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Trenton City Council does hereby recognize and celebrate Classics Bookshop on the occasion of its 20th anniversary in the city of Trenton, and thanks its founders and supporters for their enduring contributions to the cultural and intellectual fabric of our capital city. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be presented to Classics Bookshop as a token of our deepest appreciation and with heartfelt congratulations on this remarkable milestone. And it's signed by all of the council members. If you want to say a few words, you can step to the mic.
Thank you, Ms. Donna and Mr. Eric. And
Good evening, everyone. I'm Donna Maywar, and I just want to thank every member of the council. I want to thank the community in Trenton, New Jersey. We moved our bookshop from New Hope to Trenton, New Jersey, and people said, do people in Trenton read? And we have never looked back to New Hope. We've established a home here in Trenton, and we'll continue to be here. I want to honor God, of course, first, but I also want to give honor to my husband, Eric Maywar.
Yes.
I also want to thank my mom. I want to thank my mom, who everyone knows as Miss Larice, who held us down in the very beginning. And I also want to just highlight my son, who's 20 years old. He was a baby when we opened the bookshop back then. And just thank you to the council. Thank you to the city of Trenton.
Yes.
wait, real quick, we're going to take a quick picture and then come right back up. But let's make it fast.
We're Eric and Donna, if you would join us for a photo really quickly.
And at this time, if anyone else, we're going to start the public comment, please make sure you sign the clipboard. Thank you. You can start bringing clipboard up. I'm sure we was out here by 7:30, all right. I don't know, that looks like a long list. Looks like, Mr. Garcia?
Certainly, Madam President. I believe we've reached the point of public comment.
Yes, sir.
At this time, we have 13 individuals listed for public comment at this time. Public comment, if I'm correct, will be 5 minutes for each individual. They may address any item that you wish. The council is not obligated to respond. Please state your name and address for the record if you wish. Thank you. First individual we have listed is Victor Irizarry.
Good evening, it's a pleasure. Victor Irizarry, 19 Moreland Avenue, Trenton, New Jersey. My concern again is, as usual, the drug war. When your invocation, the pledge, and your pledge to the flag of the United States of America, and the invocation, and Mrs. Frisbee's involvement with gun control, that is all, as far as I'm concerned, and we all need to be also, has to do with the war, good and evil, God and the devil, of course. Now we know it's not a spirit. It's not like a comic book presentation of reality. It's people in person to person. Gods and devils are actual people. The tribe of Shabazz and the tribe of Yaqub. That's before any other color people or people of color on the planet Earth came about. They were the ruling class. And they had a war going on. It's going on now, and it's that war of good and evil. God and the devil is being fought now between the tribe of Yaqub, the devils, in the Bible and the Quran, and the tribe of Shabazz that leads to the God himself that created the planet Earth, and then the galaxies and people. All right, and now the approaches that the government right now, Mr. Musk, Elon Musk, I think he's just doing a good job, except for one thing. He has not yet addressed the DEA Department of Drug Enforcement, where, as experts already have confirmed, that it's a useless effort to continue this war on drugs, which affects the impoverished, particularly the black community now, black and Hispanic community, and all over the planet Earth. So that's one thing. 2020, they have the war had cost us taxpayers $1.5 trillion. And I don't see Elon Musk addressing that. There's a failed operation that is taking our money up, 1.5, like I said, trillions of dollars, and no one has gone in that direction yet, but they're going to other areas like the DEI or other things, which people claim, and we know for a fact, is better needed than incarcerating black people. That well, as far as I'm concerned, I'm involved with the Nation of Islam. I'm Victor X, but I'm inactive. And in the Nation of Teachers, there's 5 major races, and the Hispanics now make it the 6th race, and that's black, brown, red, yellow, white, which stopped there at one time. Now it's being revised, and the 6th major race now is the Hispanics. We're no longer tribes like Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Haitians, Jamaicans. We're one nation now. That's a 6th major race, which I classify as beige, because the brown is taken by the Japanese. So my thing is that the war of good and evil, which falls under law enforcement, which the devil have taken over according to Revelation 2:10, they're the ones that lock us up now and throw us in jail, and it's affecting all the people of color. So we divide all these 6 major races into the good and the bad guys and the good guys. So it's no longer black and white, where but according to the Nation of Islam, one time the white man was the devil, to grab the devil from a black devil, of course, the tribe of Yaqub. And now it's between good and evil, and all the races are mixed in, but we have to separate ourselves from the good guys and the bad guys. And again, I say that the good guys are being chastised and incarcerated by the black guys, which was the original scheme of the original devil, Yaqub, and I say for now, Shabazz. That's the master plan. But now, what was started between amongst blacks, now it was white and black. Now it's amongst all mixtures of people where there's no color anymore, but good and bad, good and evil. So my thing is Washington, D.C., we as a city should be an example and go and petition D.C. again, or as much as possible, to stop this drug war, release our incarcerees, which has to be no longer only blacks, but black and whites, what you call it, a white trash, and then now the Hispanics also. And free our people, give us that taxpayers' money, and we could do better things with it than just let it go to waste to law enforcement, which they need so much help every year, walking around like looking like astronauts sometimes, or they going into a battlefield. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Cordelia Staten.
I don't know that I can follow that. So Cordelia Staten, 310 Gardner Avenue. Just a few things. I won't hold you. The dialogue you guys had on the amendment to the ordinance for the chapter for the rules of council, that was good dialogue. I'm glad you guys were able to work it out and reach a consensus that works for you. My question actually tonight was, earlier this year, I was asked to serve to send a letter of interest of serving on the Senior Advisory Committee, and I haven't heard a word. And so Is anything happening with it? We are 6 months into this year. And, what is the intent? My intent was good. What was the intent of council? Are you going to implement this program, this particular committee? I think is vital to the administration to get the input of seasoned citizens. And I know you don't have to respond, but I sure would like a response as to when possibly this committee would be getting started. Nothing? Okay. All right. Well, that was my only thing. I'm just waiting in the wings to hear more about the committees. I would simply say that going forward, when the council decides to create or establish committees, that you have a game plan for enacting it so that the people who do express interest don't become discouraged. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Staten.
Marlene Dublinsky.
Good evening, Honorable Council. It's good to see everyone. I had a few topics. I'm Marlene Dublinsky, 215 East Front Street. That is the Architect Building, and it's about that I want to speak. I had a few topics I wanted to speak on, and I think I might have said to one of the council members about what's happening. This letter was placed on May 28th from our property manager, Todd Heimgartner, and it was to the residents, and it starts with the subject matter of urgent in capital letters, and then protecting your housing assistance. Take action now. Dear residents, we are writing to inform you of a serious federal proposal that could directly impact your housing assistance and the stability of your home at Architects Housing. What's happening? The White House has proposed cutting the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, budget by 43.6%. As part of this proposal, the current federal programs that provide Section 8 rental assistance, including the Project-Based Rental Assistance PBRA program that helps make your rent affordable, would be eliminated or drastically reduced. In their place, the proposal would create a state rental assistance block grant. This means that instead of guaranteed federal support, housing assistance would be handed over to state governments with less money and more responsibility. States would be required to match federal funding to access it, which could severely limit the number of people who receive help and for how long. How this affects you. If these changes go into effect, the federal guarantee of rent assistance could be removed. The state of New Jersey may not have the resources to continue helping all current residents. There is no guarantee that you will continue receiving the rent support you depend upon. Seniors and residents with disabilities, like many of you, could face rent increases, displacement, or even homelessness if funding is reduced or denied. Simply put, your ability to stay in your home, your ability to stay in your home could be at risk. This was put out, and then there's a page of who to contact more on the state level. Oh, am I too loud? Okay.
No, can you pull the microphone down just a little bit so we can hear you better? There you go.
Okay, I'm sorry. And so on this, I want to know, first of all, if this really is that drastic. I'm going to do some research on this. I love researching anyway. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention because, I'm sorry about that. I just wanted to bring that to your attention because that was put out to us, and they're now filling out petitions. And I'm going to try to see more about what that's about. Another concern, we did have the engineer here, and I was just wondering who takes care of between Willow, where Thomas Edison is, and down by Calhoun, because that's an obstacle course. It is so ruddy that you have to actually go around potholes. So I just want to mention, I don't know about that road in particular. And so I think that's basically some of what I wanted to mention tonight. And I appreciate that you listened to me reading this letter. So I thank you very much. It's nice seeing everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Marlene.
Caroline Clark.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
Good evening, Trentonians. So the first thing I want to say is there was a lot of discussion this evening.
I'm sorry, could you just please state your name and address?
I apologize. Caroline Clark, 1812 Riverside Drive.
Thank you.
So there was a lot of discussion about, in particular, the ordinance regarding landlords and the penalties, et cetera. And I think it is unfair to have those discussions after public comment about the ordinance has passed. You've changed the ordinance in material ways. You changed the amount of money that a landlord can be fined. So I think landlords or even tenants may want to comment about that. So I just like to say that I had a problem with that. Okay.
That was first reading, so it's not passed yet, but go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, just-
So, but we still would have liked to have had the opportunity to comment. Those of us who are here this time may not be here next time. So, but thank you. Okay. So, I'd like to talk a little bit today about the MUA. So over the last 10 years, Trenton Waterworks made $760 million. And despite making that kind of money under state fiscal oversight, we're still a financially strapped city. No one offers any real explanation or accounting of the monies. They keep telling us Trenton Waterworks is in bad fiscal shape, but no one provides the numbers. What we do know about this whole Trenton Waterworks discussion is that our mayor supports dispossessing Trentonians of the waterworks. After meeting with DEP a couple of weeks ago, I started hearing rumblings about changing Trenton Waterworks from being a department to being a municipal authority. So a municipal authority is a public entity established by a municipality, in our case, council, to provide utilities, the water, and these MUAs operate independent of the municipal government. So this is a real problem for me, at least. For our purposes, the MUA removes the authority and the revenues generated by Trenton Waterworks. It moves it from council's governance and puts it under the governance of people we did not elect. So this is just a more circuitous route to deprive Trenton from the revenues from the water. The board can do what it wants, not what we, the people, need. At the end of the day, the difference is council picks the board members, and in the other scenario, the mayor picked who he wanted to give the water to. So I think this is a real problem. This council has shown us time and time again, you do not oppose the mayor, you behave like a choir, and he is the choir master. So because the board is not elected by us, that means we cannot recall them. And when they make decisions that are not in our best interest, we cannot referendum them. So this is a very important thing for us to know about MUAs. Despite the mayor supposedly backing off selling Trenton Waterworks, we Trentonians do not take your eyes off the prize. The MUA is a distraction. The goal remains the same. Our fight must remain the same. We should not support any changes to the governance of Trenton Waterworks. Keep it under its current ownership and governance. Yes, get management help, but do not change the governance structure. The MUA is a nuanced and first step towards dispossessing Trenton of the revenues and the water. Thank you.
Faith Ann Pearson.
Again, council, welcome. I'm Faith Ann Pearson. I live at 83 Clegg Avenue. This has to do with the city as a whole. On May 31st, walking back from a friend's house, there was dirt bikes coming up the street. None of them, I couldn't see any license plates. Shortly thereafter, as I'm walking the sidewalk, though two of the dirt bikes were parked on the sidewalk. There was one that was parked on the sidewalk, so after I had to go around it and by the time I got behind it, I saw it had a Pennsylvania license plate. A police car drove down the street, Steve Wilson. I pointed to the car because the cop happened to look out the side window. I parked, pointed to the sidewalk, but he kept right on going. When I called the non-emergency number, the lady said, well, they could have been going to an emergency. All I wanted that officer to do was get out, tell the guys, get it off the sidewalk and on the street, and I would have been satisfied. This police department, a lot of these police officers are looking the other way. I see them coming down they're speeding down Clegg Avenue between 11 a.m. to 6 p.m., usually during the week, they're doing 45 miles an hour. And we have McKnight Elementary School on Girard, where Clegg ends. There's a crossing guard there that keeps directing the people to come out. Come on, come on. I have a resident who's going to talk about that. These are the things I feel as a police officer. I don't care if you should be able to go up and down the streets. You are given a ticket book. Why don't you go ahead and start giving out the tickets? The city needs the money. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Speethan.
Cheryl Snyder.
Oh, man. Good evening. Cheryl Snyder, 410 North Olden Avenue. All right, so I have a couple of concerns. I had never thought I would come in front of council because of something, how I'm feeling. I'm always thinking about community, but then again, I am a part of the community. When they hurt, I hurt, and I know that a lot of the residents are hurting, and I know that I'm going through something. I hear a feedback. Can you hear me okay? Okay. One of the concerns, stray cats. We have a lot of stray cats in the area in the East Trenton neighborhood. I see a woman that does not even live in the neighborhood get away with coming, feeding these cats, and then leaving. These cats are stray. They're going from yard to yard, and there's an abundance of fleas. I can't let my poor doggy go out in the backyard for fear of fleas. And the second concern is the renters and the landlords that get away with these conditions that some of these renters live in. It's not right. And because they live like that and these landlords don't do anything and we don't hold them accountable, it transfers over to the homeowners. My poor baby Kobe can't go in the backyard because I'm afraid to have fleas come into the house. I've spent so much money when I seen him scratching, and I gave him so many baths. It's terrible. And we sell these homes. These are homes that we sell to these landlords that don't care about our Trenton. This is a beautiful town with some beautiful people, and these people come in to treat it any way they like. Mm-hmm. We have our directors, we have our council people, we have our mayors. Y'all look after one another. I see that, and it's a good thing. You know, there's the collaboration here, but we need somebody to look out for the community. The community in Trenton right now is hurting. I went to go try to get a home equity loan so I can fix up my home much better, which used to be my dad's home. That's why I'm out in Trenton family. And our homes are so old, they can always use more help. I didn't put so much money into this house. So when I go for a loan, credit is great, everything's checking off. Sherelle, there's a lien on your property from when your dad owned it. And you know who owns it? My city of Trenton for $5,000 and back in 2008, because we give these grants to our seniors and we tell them, you stay in your home for 10 years, you don't pay this back, everything, but there's a fine print of $5,000 that's still owed, what I had no idea about when dad passed away, and now the home is mine. And you know, they said, oh, Sherelle, no, we can't give you a loan. This is 2008 going back. And you know what's another thing that pissed me off? Andre loaned me, forgive me for naming names, but I had to keep coming back to this man over and over. And then I hear, oh, Sherelle, you're not the only person going through this. There's a whole bunch of other liens that the city has on these properties. Why are we holding on to these liens? Why are we holding on to these liens on properties that people live in and are trying to keep them up? This just made things harder because now I can't get that loan. And I wanted to get that loan to fix up these basements. Some of these basements still have dirt floors in Trenton. And our babies are getting put out of their homes because the rents are going up. And I thought, well, maybe I can fix it up and have a place for them to come. But that dream is dead, but that's okay. I'll go to Plan B. I believe in Trenton. I believe in community, and we need to do more centering justice around our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sherelle.
Andrew Baptiste.
Hello, how you doing?
Hello.
I'm Andrew Baptiste, 265 Highland Avenue, Trenton, New Jersey. And I'm here today. I'm the owner of AA Cleanouts, and I do a lot of cleaning up around the city. And when people purchase houses, they give me a call, me and my brothers, and we come in and we clean out the houses. So for like the past 7 years, 2018, we've been cleaning up the city one house at a time. And we are here today to try to find out how could we get into getting our own houses and cleaning them out and make the city look better. Basically, that's what we're here for today.
Thank you, Mr. Baptiste. We're not obliged to answer those questions, but if you stick around for civic comment, I'm sure one of us will address that.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Earless Pereira.
Go on.
Okay. Paul Shore.
Good evening, Council. Paul Shore, property owner at 425 Greenwood Avenue. First, I wanted to compliment Council in supporting great streetscapes for Greenwood Avenue. That was a really important meeting. We had it last week. It represents the beginning of a transportation improvement project that may last many years and include the transit center as well as all the way out to Hamilton Township. To that extent, I wanted to give to the Director of Public Works a copy of the New Jersey DOT jurisdiction map, as well as a copy of the Google Maps that shows the boundaries and setback rules for Greenwood Avenue, which is in Ordinance 315-240. And I'm not sure who I can give this to, but I'd like to give it to the Director of Public Works, and I give to each council member are you coming to help me?
You can give them to me for council.
This is good, and the legal advice. So this is an ordinance that helps support streetscapes and goes to the heart of the comments that we received that evening through Zoom, that in order to make it safe for bike lanes, buses, transit, cars, pedestrians, we may need to widen the road. And it came to my attention tonight that council approves streetscapes for up to $1.5 to $3 million. And perhaps the present contractor and their scope of work may be amended to include this very next basic step, realizing that there are many phases to these projects. The next step being to outline in a more formal fashion the setback rules for Greenwood Avenue. And that is my comment tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paul.
Scardy Dominique. Edward Livingston.
Good morning, council, or good evening, council. How's everybody? Edward Livingston, 656 Grand Street. I'm here to address a couple issues. One, I misspoke at the last South Ward CPAC meeting with Police Director Wilson. We spoke. He addressed when to get the authority to pull over drivers for the smell of marijuana, and he wanted that into city ordinance. I personally am apologizing to Councilwoman Jenna Figueroa Kentenberg, because I got on her and I said, no, I disagree, but I actually agree. I very much did agree with her and all of council regarding that. As a melanated Black man, I strongly disagree with any law, rule, procedure, guideline, practice, which could be used to racially profile anyone because of the color of their skin. But on the other hand on that coin, with good policing and public safety officers, I also agree that a law should be passed for people who smoke marijuana while driving. Now, I am a medical marijuana patient. During that meeting, or let's just say my girlfriend drove home, since I'm on record. I would like for everybody to introduce or even look at a law like an open bud law for marijuana. Like there's an open container law for alcohol. I feel that something to that nature should be addressed. My suggestion is for officers to visibly see marijuana and or leaf oils and edibles with the exclusion of paraphernalia and verify the presence of marijuana. Now, to do this, my suggestion is that officers utilize a device like the breathalyzer. Two that I already spoke with Director Wilson is one, it is a Halo Smart sensor. Now that sensor they use in fancy hotels, but I can't see why they can have a small or a portable unit for law enforcement. Another one is a Triton sensor to detect marijuana smoke. I feel that this will protect citizens and police officers as well. Lastly, and here it comes again, Grand Street and Dayton Street, along with all of the other high accident intersections in Trenton. What I'm holding in my hand is a police and fire report from, well, actually, it should be March, but it's dated January 11, 2025 to March 14, 2009. On the corner of Dayton and Grand, this is just Dayton and Grand, there's over 70 accidents in my hand right now. I will give this to you. over 70 accidents. I feel that stop signs, do not enter signs, one-way signs, and replacing signs like this. Here's another sign. Yes, I'm holding another sign. Replacing signs like this that you could hardly see, not just on Grand and Dayton streets, but in our city. I don't think that's a big ask from anybody. I don't think it's a big ask at all. So it's been almost 3 years since the petition that I came before council with. It's almost been 3 years. And we thank the city tremendously for our new streets. We thank the city tremendously for our speed humps. But right now, without these signs and without the speed humps, motorists are going around the city like it's the Indy 500 or it's the Daytona, Speedway. So we are told a traffic study is being conducted. Every time I call, every time I email, every time, it seems like this traffic study is never going to happen. We're tired of all the accidents on the corner. We're tired of.
Sir, that is your time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Here's this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Understood. Robin Washington.
I'll email everybody the rest of everything.
Thank you.
Good evening,
Good
City
evening.
Council. My name is Robin Washington. I live at 447 West Hanover Street. This is the third time I've been before council, so I'm just going to read this same statement that I read before. I am a lifelong resident of the city of Trenton. The area which I'm interested in purchasing is located right across the street from the place I live in. I've been trying to purchase these properties for some time now and had appeared before you before to plead my case. While I do understand home ownership as Director Liston has conveyed to myself, however, also I understand we need to provide affordable housing for all. Some of our residents are not ready for home ownership and are looking for safe, healthy, and sanitary housing for themselves and their families. I truly understand this. As I was raising my own children and rebalancing through their lives, that housing here in the city of Trenton is not suitable for all. We as residents who have the ability to have this opportunity should be afforded the prospects. I have been in conversation with all staff in housing and economic development and come up to closed doors. And that includes Mr. Lister, who basically said to me that the properties that I'm interested in purchasing, which are directly across the street from where I live, that if no individual stepped up to buy those properties, that they would just sit there and the city wouldn't do anything with them. I had this meeting in his office a couple months ago in front of his staff. He brought up on his monitor in his office a view of my home, the front porch, and he also panned to the two properties directly across the street from my home. He's made a statement that there's limited parking there. I live there. I know what the parking is like. I'm proposing to build new with parking attached to the development so that we have mitigated these issues, and we'll be working with the civil engineer and architect to support this development. I am not the one who will build and leave. I'm here to protect my investment as I live across the street from what I am proposing. I'm pleading with the council to allow the sale to be transferred from the city to myself so that I can get to work to develop this housing model. I ask again, why not me? We have a development that is about to take place at the corner of West State Street, which is going to, according to the gentleman that I was in a meeting with at that facility, is going to house 170 apartments, 70 parking spaces, retail stores, and event parking, public parking. This is a plus for the city as it shows we are able to provide space for good sound development for all. And again, I came before to ask, why is this taking so long? I provided a copy of the application that I submitted to City Council, the first meeting that I came to, that was dated September of 2019. I have not heard anything from anyone. I have come to City Hall multiple times throughout the years and spoken with Mr. Roach, who always tells me there's a meeting next week, there's a meeting next week. Whatever day I come, there's always a meeting next week to discuss. So again, this is my third time coming before council to get some kind of clarity and answer, because I don't have a copy, my personal copy of the agenda that was passed out, but I was able to look at the agenda and see that there are several properties, I don't know if they're homes or if they're vacant lots, that there have been approvals for. I don't know when those applications were submitted or how that process works, but I know that I submitted my application in September of 2019. And I'm still waiting for an answer from somebody to say, okay, it's being considered, you're not gonna get it, but I don't see why I can't develop as a beginning entrepreneur in this area, why I can't be able to provide housing. And you have these folks that come from out of town that don't live in the city, but they come and they collect rent. They don't fix up their properties. There's a property located at 450 West Hanover Street that I was interested in buying. And when I went inside, I didn't notice the black mold because the ceiling was coming down. And these folks.
That's your time, miss. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Washington.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And up next on our list, if we could have Miss Paulette Dowling step up to the microphone, please, and thank you.
Hello, my name is Paulette Dowling. I live at 11 Clegg Avenue, right across from Woodrow Wilson School. And in the morning, it's terrible with that one-way street going from Cortland to Marbury and Girard. They turn the corner coming straight and they swing over on the other side because it's not a one-way street and it should be a one-way street. I've seen accidents happen with the car stop and then going around Clegg and hitting the car on that side because his car is over here. I live there and it should be a one-way street. Also, the stop signs and the one-way signs, they don't pay it no attention. I brought it to the attention that when I go to the, in Chambersburg to the senior thing, they have a lighted stop sign. And that's what we need because they're not paying them signs any attention. And also the parking authority, and they say the police go around and take our garbage cans and our buckets out in front of our house. But if you come down my street after hours, you'll see there's nowhere to park. Nowhere at all. Our street is full of cars. They need to be checked out to see if they're registered. They're not, to take them off the street. I've been there for years and it's getting worse. That's what I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Paulette.
Council President, that is the end of our list. If you'd like to move on to civic comment now.
Yes, we'll go, Councilwoman Williams, please.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. First thing I want to say, for Ms. Snyder, I know you and I had a good, long conversation on Sunday. Very happy that you came tonight, like we talked about. So I'd like to direct you first to speak with Business Administrator Richardson, who's the nice lady in the gray suit right here, about the situation with your father's property. And then regarding the cat issue and everything, he sent in an email to the mayor and I regarding fleas and everything. If you please talk to this really great man over here, Dr. Menacapelli, who is the director of our health department, oversees animal control. I think that would be two very good conversations for you to have. Thank you. With that, because I don't want to forget it, I just want to also ask if folks could keep a good Trentonian, a really great Trentonian passed away recently, Earl Lester, otherwise known as Top Chef. He was major supporter and member of Fathers and Men United for a Better Trenton. Also came to many of the North Ward Citizens Police Advisory Council meetings. That's how I met him, and he loved the city, loved the North Ward, and God has him in the palm of his hand now, and we think about him. Regarding the North Ward Citizens Police Advisory Council meeting, our next one will be on June 18th, Wednesday night at 5:30, Galilee Baptist Church, 440 MLK Boulevard. And we're hoping, if he can schedule it, that we will have Raymond Royster, who is the Deputy Director of Community Engagement for the New Jersey Office of the Attorney General, as our guest. So please consider joining us. I'd like to thank Public Works for the cleanup of the overgrowth, vegetation, and illegal dumping over on Chestnut near Walnut, and the community garden that actually borders the North Ward and the East Ward. So we're helping a lot of folks with that. Graffiti is becoming a worse and worse problem in the city. I know months ago I asked about creating a task force to tackle this problem because it is beginning to get overwhelming in some spots on a lot of different streets and blocks. I just want to ask that we do that again. It's a problem all over, and we really need to start tackling this because it brings our city down. As much as we want to be able to have folks develop projects in the city and purchase houses and fix them up, they have to attract people to rent in them, and we want to make Trenton as nice as possible for that. And just want to thank Faith Ann Pearson for bringing it up tonight also, because I wanted to speak about the ATV motorbike situation. That's getting worse and worse and worse. I think we may need to consider what Philadelphia and I believe Jersey City did. And I noticed some reticence about banning gas stations from selling gasoline directly to these riders while they're on their machines. We had a constituent got in a car accident on our border with another municipality as the riders were going around a traffic circle carelessly and in and out of traffic. And I am very fearful, as I know many of you are, that someone might get killed at some point. And additionally, some residents have shared with me, some constituents, that they're thinking of moving from Trenton at some point soon because they don't feel safe walking or riding around the city, and even just having more quiet to enjoy where they live. And that's something we really need to consider. Just want to congratulate Mr. Eric Maywar and his wife Donna for the resolution tonight. Thank Councilwoman Jossie Edwards for bringing that forth. They've done a great deal for our city, not just our downtown, and being so civically active and giving folks a place to gather, whether it was Scrabble night or anything else. And coming up, we have some other things that are, some more positivity in these troubling times that we're in nationally. This coming Friday night, there's going to be a pride flag raising. Everyone is invited. It's not just for the LGBTQ plus community. Please come. We all have to stand together. What we're saying, particularly with the subject of DEI and how our federal government is going after citizens, no matter who they are, what they look like, where they're from, or who they love. It's extremely important we stay together. And that's at 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. this Friday night on the City Hall steps. There's also on Saturday, there will be a Trenton Pride Festival from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. Mill Hill Park. Everyone is welcome, I'm told. And then consequently, at the same time, the Mill Hill Garden Tour will be this Saturday in the Mill Hill neighborhood right next door to where the park is from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Tickets are sold at Artworks. It's a great way to see how folks make their yards up. Also, other non-residential businesses are involved, some of the churches, but it's a great way if you want to get an idea of maybe how you could work in your yard, or just if you love flowers, it's a fun time. And I want to congratulate Passage Theater for their spoken word festival this past weekend. God bless and be safe, everyone. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Frisbee.
Thank you, Council President. So I want to thank everybody for coming out this evening. Thank you for the great discussion with my colleagues and for us getting things resolved. I also want to say on Tuesday, June 10th, we will be having our West Ward Community Conversations at 5:30. That will be 600 Artisan Street. Please come out. We're going to have a representative from the HUD app who will be presenting that day, along with our interim director, Paul Harris, and our police department as well. And we always serve light refreshments. I want to send my condolences to Father and Men United with the passing of one of their dear members, longtime members, Earl Lester. His services will be held this Saturday. So a lot of the things that many of them that we're going to be a part of, they will not be in attendance because of that. They will be eulogizing him then. Also, I want to say thank you to Interim Director Paul Harris on the great job that they're doing with Catwalder Park. The lights are going up around the tennis courts, basketball courts, in the open space. It is looking absolutely fantastic. Can't wait for all of that to be finished. And with that portion of it said, we were supposed to have our Wear Orange at the corner of Parkside and West State on this Saturday. But because of the lights being installed, we have moved it to the blacktop, which is over by the museum. So on the inside portion of the park and Catwalder Park, that's where we're calling it Party in Orange, but it is our annual Wear Orange. And we have been doing this now. This is I believe, our 11th year that they've been doing it all together. But for Moms Demand Action in the city, we've been doing it now for the last 8 years. So we invite you to come out this Saturday at 10 a.m. to 1 o'clock on the blacktop in Catwalder Park. That is where Party in Orange, and that is where we put our arms around the families and loved ones who have been affected by gun violence. We do some educating, we do some counseling of sorts with the families, and we ask that you would come out and be a part of the solution. There's a lot that goes on, and they need our support. I also want to remind folks that our city is a food desert in many areas. Many of the pantries have closed, that there are still some that are open. I want to let folks know that there are some pantries that are still open. If you know of a pantry, please make sure you share it, especially on social media. There are people in our community that are hurting. One of the places that I do know of is Greater Mount Zion, AME Church, 42 Pennington Avenue. They are there. Please go on the website. They actually have, I believe it's on Wednesdays and Saturdays, that they have their food pantry. Also at Calvary Pentecostal, 471 Parkway Avenue, they also have a food pantry open on Saturdays, and I believe they started at 10 a.m. as well. Also, you can Google it in the city of Trenton. There are a lot of food pantries that are still open, but there are several that have closed. So, and I invite you to please check on your loved ones, check on your neighbors. I happened to do the very thing on yesterday and found out that one of my neighbors was suffering, found out he has COVID, and that he doesn't have anyone to go out and shop or do anything for him, and he didn't think to ask anyone. And just with that conversation, I was able to help him. You don't know what everyone is going through, so I implore you to please check in on somebody, especially if you haven't seen them in the community and you're used to seeing them. With that, I am going to close by reading a portion of the city's mission statement, which is recognizing that the people of Trenton have made us guardians of the public trust. We are committed to govern with integrity and fiscal responsibility, to seek excellence in the city's operations, and to serve all the city's people with respect and compassion. I thank everybody for coming out. Please get in safely and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you all for coming out tonight. To address the dirt bikes that was brought up, we know that that is an ongoing problem, not only in the city of Trenton, but in other, urban cities. I'm happy to embrace any solution that we could come to. They're dangerous, they're loud. They don't necessarily want a separate trail to be able to ride on. They want to ride in the streets. They want to be seen. So I would embrace anything that we could come up with to help deter the dirt bikes in the city of Trenton and get that under control. With regards to picking up of the garbage cans and things like that for safe parking spaces, I understand that that's a nuisance. We don't have parking. But at the same time, we can't be saving parking spots. It's, it's illegal. It's unsafe. We have to do something about it. Unfortunately, we had streets being paved in the South Ward, and I had Public Works calling me, telling me that people wanted to fight the Public Works employees because they were picking up chairs and stuff in the streets, and they weren't unable to pave the streets. People weren't moving their cars. We want streets paved, but yet we're not in compliance. We have to make up our minds about what we want if we want to move this city forward. I think that maybe the city of Trenton as a whole should be permit parking with visitors parking passes. That might solve some of our problem. We have way too many people in houses that aren't zoned for multiple family homes, and everybody has a car. We have a problem, so we need to be more forward thinking in how we're going to solve that problem. I do want to thank the Department of Public Works. They recently just got 6 streets paved in the South Ward and an alleyway, and so many more to go. I agree with the woman about the renters' conditions and having no accountability. I have that. I get complaints all the time. There's nothing worse to look at than a home that is just unkempt, and it just brings down the entire street, the entire block. So we definitely need, hopefully, to get more inspectors for the city of Trenton so that they can show up to these areas, so they can educate folks, and that they can, hold homeowners and renters accountable. I completely agree with this. With regards to Mr. Livingston's comment about me wanting vehicles with marijuana smoke to be stopped and assessed, that was not true. That did not occur. I know that Director Wilson was at my last CPAC meeting, and he did say that was something that he was that he wanted to implement. That they'd come before council. I do feel like nobody should be driving while impaired or under the influence, but that is another conversation. And I know that there have been cases that have been appealed, as was brought to my attention tonight by Law Director Bridges. And also to Mr. Livingston's point, Dayton and Grand Street stop signs, things of that nature, traffic studies. I do trust that Mr. Santora is doing what he's supposed to be doing, as he does for all aspects of the city of Trenton. And I do trust that these things will get done in time. We just have to be very, very patient. Other than that, Southward CPAC meetings have been going great. Our third month in a row will be this June 26th at 1746 St. Bartholomew's Church, 1746 South Clinton Avenue at 5:30. Trenton Police Department and our community officer will be there, Public Works Director, and either Parks and Recreation interim director or our fire department and director will be there, contingent on the community needs before that meeting. So thank you all again for coming out tonight, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Feliciano.
Thank you, Council President.
Welcome.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for sticking around and for hanging out with us tonight during the council meeting. I appreciate my colleagues for the fruitful dialogue that we have. I feel like we are really continuously growing as a council, and I can appreciate the conversations and the input that everybody brings forth. Especially, I get excited about how, as we're like thinking through the ordinances or the thing that we bring together, like, oh, hey, well, let's take it to this extent, or hey, let's look at it this way. I love that. So thank you all for that. Shout out to Dr. Diego Manicapelli. They had the Reading Center open house for our seniors on Friday. It was really, really nice. So him and his team did a nice job. They had a singer come in, I think from Baltimore. He was crooning to the people. They were dancing and shaking and slapping fans all over the place. So they were happy. So it was nice to pop in and be able to check them out and see what's going on. With regard to the Senior Citizen Advisory Board, names have been submitted to the administration. We've been waiting. We're going to circle back around again. So this should be resolved, hopefully, within the next month. This should finally be resolved, because it needs to be resolved, because we've been submitting and resubmitting and asking, and it just seems to be held up in one place in particular. administratively. Congratulations to the trio Upward Bound graduates. They graduated on Saturday. I had the awesome opportunity to give words of encouragement to them. Many of the children were students of Trenton Central High School, so we shout them out and congratulate them. Congratulations to Mitzi Teal, who opened up her Shape It studio, which is actually the old daycare center that's right on the corner of Calhoun and Bellevue, right there in the little courtyard where Shiloh is. She had her opening of the studio, so that was exciting. Everybody be sure to check out Mitzi's Shape It over there and get in shape for the summertime so we can have a good time. The Gentlemen's Ball was on Sunday as well. Shout out to all of the gentlemen of 2025. It was a wonderful event, seeing all the students together, and it was beautiful. I've bought tickets to the event, but this year was the first time that I actually went to the event to actually be able to see and bear witness to what happens. So I just want to congratulate the Urban League Guild and everybody that put that together with the children and work with them on it. It was wonderful. Let me just say this again real quick. When it comes to the water company, the water TWW, I've said it once, twice, maybe 3 times. This might be the 4th time that I'm gonna say it. I'm not with the centralization of it. You know that, right? You know that. I'm not with it. And I'm nobody's puppet. And neither is the members of this council when it comes to Mayor Reed Gaciora. We respect the mayor, and there's nothing wrong with showing respect. No one follows suit or taps, to anybody's beat. We do what it is that we need to do to move the city forward in the way that we feel that is best. The mayor has not come to us and said that we need to centralize, nor ask the council, would we move in any direction to get rid of Trenton Waterworks? So let me just put that out there right now. We are a body of 7 independent people who will vote as we see fit based upon our own decision-making capabilities, which we are all very highly intelligent and capable to come to rational decisions when it comes to what's best for the city of Trenton. I would pull out my resume, but it might take a while. So I say this, we for the city of Trenton, I'm for the city of Trenton. Trenton Waterworks, I'm not saying take it. I'm not going along with it. I was the one that told y'all what the money was. So I'm doing the due diligence and looking to see what's happening. And the council is doing their due diligence to see what is happening, right? And so I just wanted to say that the mayor at no time has come to Trenton City Council, as far as I know. He's not come to any of us and suggested that we go along with this, or that was the direction that he was looking to go in. He did say that he did meet to hear what it could be. And he said this publicly at the DEP meeting about the regionalization. As a responsible manager, he would listen to different possibilities if things were to happen or to go that way. For him to turn a blind eye, that would just simply be foolish. So to that, I just want to thank everybody once again for coming out. Trenton Waterworks is not for sale. Ain't nobody trying to give it away. God bless. Have a good night.
Thank you, Councilwoman Feliciano. Council Vice President Edwards.
Good evening, everyone. Well, in that spirit, I'll just start my comments off on that note. Trenton Waterworks is not for sale. There is no council member on this dais that supports such actions at all. And if anything were to be brought forward to us, we would communicate that with the public. Nothing has been brought forward to us to this very day. I want to say that nothing can happen without the advice and consent of these council members. Thank you. I want to say, make a couple of announcements. There is first early voting started today, and the last day is on Sunday. Early voting Tuesday through Saturday is from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. and on Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at the Perry Street Firehouse headquarters. Please exercise your right to vote. Election day is on June 10th, and polls will be open in your respective districts from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Next, there is an event happening at Mercer County Community College, downtown Trenton, this Thursday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And this is about how to start a legal cannabis business. The city has been inundated with so many illegal or unlicensed dispensaries in which this council has been, and administration as well, has been trying to figure out legislatively, because there is no legislation that exists to authorize the city to shut them down and keep them from being open. Right now, they're just fined endlessly until they, I guess, decide to shut down. But hopefully the state will get it right soon. And I do know the administration has been meeting with the Mercer County prosecutor to pursue different options that the municipality can take to shut them down. But please join us. I am a panel member. We have a member from the state's CRC, which is the Cannabis Regulatory Commission. We have 2 cannabis dispensary owners from the Trenton area. One being in Ewing, Simply Pure, Tahir Johnson, the owner, and then one right here in Trenton on South Warren Street, owner of Moja Life, John Dockery. And we do have cannabis advocate, Leo Bridgewater, also on the panel. So please join us. We are encouraging these illegal dispensaries to please do the right thing, legitimize the hustle, and come to the city and the council and to the state in a proper manner, and not just going rogue and on your own. It does the entire industry and our city a huge disservice. So please take advantage of the opportunity. I want to say congratulations to Project Smile and Gear Up on their 25th anniversary this past Friday. They celebrated also at Mercer County Community College downtown. It was an honor and a privilege to attend the program from 5th grade to 12th grade. And it was a part of laying the foundation in thousands of kids' lives throughout their history of their program, with college preparatory services, college tours, field trips, entrepreneurship, education, you name it, they did it, and it changed lives. It saved lives. It kept a lot of kids out of prison and out of early graves. So kudos to them on the continuity of their program. Lastly, next, I want to talk about the city-owned property purchases. I'm very disappointed to hear that there are continuous issues. The council, we have been working diligently with the administration to try to streamline a process that works for everyone. And in fact, the ad hoc committee for housing and economic development, we are meeting with the administration this Thursday. So hopefully we'll be able to hash out some of these issues that we're still seeing happening. And in closing, I want to talk about a lot of the issues that's been going on a federal level that is impacting people in our city and could potentially impact even further with some of the proposals in the 2026 fiscal budget that Trump's administration has put forth to Congress. It hasn't passed yet, but I just want to make a quick little comment that hundreds of people just recently lost their jobs due to defunding of Job Corps. Yeah. They're proposing defunding LIHEAP, social services, Social Security, and all kinds of things. This is what happens when we don't vote. And voter turnout in the city is very, very low, and we open ourselves up to being vulnerable and being at the mercy of people who do not have our best interests at heart. So please, again, exercise your right to vote this coming week here or this coming Tuesday. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Council Vice President. I'm going to be very brief. Thank you, everyone, for being present this evening. First, I want to say congratulations to Eric and Donna and their family on 20 years of being here in the city of Trenton. We certainly appreciate all of the work that they do and all of the activities that they have put on for our city. To Ms. Staten, who left, I know about the Senior Advisory Board to begin. That is something that I know was spearheaded, so we'll collaborate, Councilwoman Feliciano and I, to make sure we can kind of get some responses and answers on that, because that was one of the things that I know I spoke with Council Vice President for this term, that we wanted to make sure that all of the boards were up and running. So we want to make sure that that's one of them that is functioning. To Ms. Clark, I don't want to repeat every single thing, but we've expressed this several times, that we are not in favor of selling the water department, nor are we required and do everything that the administration wants us to do. Just because we're not battling with them in public or even arguing or just being disrespectful does not mean that we agree with every single thing that is brought forth. To the dirt bikes, we all know that's an issue. We've been trying to work on some solutions about that. I'm glad Ms. Sherrill is speaking to our director currently about the stray cats and those issues that she's having there. There's some things about the fixing up homes. I've been in some meetings trying to find funding so that homeowners can obtain some type of grant money and funding to help fix their homes, whether it's inside or outside. We're working on those things, but as Council Vice President just stated, there's a lot of defunding that is going on in different areas and cuts that are coming down the pipeline, but some things that we are working on to bring to the city of Trenton. Also, what else I was gonna say? The selling of the home across the street, Ms. Washington, I am sad to hear that you're still going through those things, but I do want to be clear that council does not see those applications. Council is not a part of that process. Only thing, it goes through the actual housing department, and then once all of that is worked through, then it comes before us to say yes or no. So I just want you to know that we're not a part of that, like the process of that part. But just know that we will follow up to ask what is the situation with your current one. I know that Director Bridges spoke to some answers that he's trying to get as far as the process itself, and making sure things are done fairly and correctly before we put forth any more properties in front of council. To Ms. Dow, thank you for sharing the traffic control, the traffic issues that she's having in her area. And also just briefly, again, thank you all for being present, for staying with us. Shout out to Trenton High. They're going to have their prom on Friday. And I know it was mentioned about the early voting, all of the LGBTQ events, and also the gun violence events that are occurring this weekend. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you. And Madam President, if you want to ask for a motion to go into executive session.
May we have a motion to go into executive session?
So,
second.
And to the solicitor, is there anything do we anticipate a vote coming out of executive?
Yes.
We do anticipate a vote coming out of executive session this evening. Motion to go into executive. I apologize. I apologize. What was that motion? Frisbee, Edwards. Thank you. All say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? Not opposed. Thank you.
No, I'm good.
I should have had to tell you earlier. Trust me.
Yeah, I get it.
Like I said, we can buy it, but then, you're not getting no cars when we got paid $2 million. You can't have no cars. I'll defer to you. How do you want to do it?
I want you to do that.
No, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. They were very serious. That's not a problem. I've said it very openly. We need to do that. The fact that we have one intervention, like we have all of these there that we come in for intervention. Somehow,